Brooklyn, New York. The dawn brings hope for your dreams, even in Brooklyn.
He's Trillo.
He's Suede.
Someone stole my canary.
I need you to find out who murdered him.
Ahoy, Baruch Hashem.
When you've been in this line of work as long as we have, nothing is shocking.
You've never cosplayed?
I did that once. Trillo doesn't do anything that requires imagination.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, that's Rabbi Lustig. You always get the dames.
They like my style.
I'll keep my schnitzel warm for you.
So, Shalom Aleichem, everyone, and welcome to Shmoozing with Avi. Today we have a very special guest. I'm very excited to introduce someone who I've been watching for quite a while. And I am very impressed because when you hear what he has done with this particular series, I think you'll be as impressed as I am. Jonathan Geffner is the writer, creator, executive producer, and star of the multi-award-winning Trillo and Suede web series. This film noir parody featuring a Jewish ventriloquist detective and his Jewish wooden partner, a shtick Holtz, if I ever saw one, a piece of wood, has won a staggering 39 awards for Best Web Series, Best Comedy, and more in international film contests since its debut in January of 2020. Jonathan is a real-life ventriloquist who is widely known as one of the most highly skilled ventriloquists in the world, fluent in Yiddish, and he is also a Yiddish teacher and a translator. He's fairly fluent in Hebrew as well. And he infuses his Trillo and Suede web series with a lot of Yiddishisms and Jewish humor. You can watch seasons 1 and 2 of Trillo and Suede on the Trillo and Suede YouTube channel. Today, he will be joining us with several of his friends, Shmendrik, Ezra, Mrs. Levinsky, one of my favorite names. She's also known as Aunt Sarah. Chippy, Uncle Flunky, and Sam Suede himself, I would like to invite to join me here in our Zoom, in our Shmoozing with Avi program. Please welcome Trillo and Suede.
Hi there, Avi.
Well, now,
So nice to see you there, Avi.
Sam Suede himself. I am so honored to meet you, and I'd like to welcome your friend. I don't know if you'd like to introduce him.
Oh, this guy, he means you.
Yes, me.
That's Trillo. We're a team.
I think he knows we're a team.
Yes, I know you're a team, but I have to say, and please don't take this the wrong way, Mr. Trillo, I am so impressed with Sam Suede. I think he is sexy. I think he makes Yiddish and Yiddishkeit sexy. Not that you're not a nice-looking guy, but man, I'm just saying, Sam, you are hot.
Well, you have
Hot
good
to
taste,
trot.
Avi.
All the ladies, all they want to do
Well, that cannot be denied. It's
that's right.
kind of obvious. I've heard it before, but I always like hearing it again. Being appreciated.
How did you get involved with this Meshuggah next to you, Trillo? Where did you find him?
Yeah, Alanga Misa.
Longa Misa, long story.
Yeah, you don't have to translate. Avi understands.
Maybe not everybody understands.
Anyway, we met in the comedy clubs a long time ago.
Yeah, well, I was doing an act. And Suede was, well, you're doing act for a little bit.
Just trying it out, comedy clubs. And I didn't want to go as a duo, but Trillo here suggested it because he needed a new partner.
Yeah, I had a partner, Ezra, who was doing an act within all the nightclubs, comedy clubs. But Ezra, he checked out. I didn't want to do it anymore. I met Suede. I thought, this would be a great opportunity. We should team up.
So we tried it, but I didn't like to do it too much because it's demeaning.
Yeah, he felt it's kind of humiliating, the traditional dummy role, right?
Yeah, I told Trillo the only way I'm going to continue as a comedy duo is if you're the dummy. And he didn't want to do that, play that role. I sure as hell didn't want to do it anymore. So, but we grew kind of fond of each other. We have a certain rapport, je ne sais quoi. And don't ask me what that means.
Anyway, yeah, we did have some kind of a rapport. We hit it off. And it went beyond the ventriloquist and his partner usual experience. And I felt that, we're kind of on the same wavelength in a lot of things.
So we would think of putting our heads together. What could we do that would utilize our talents working together? We like to figure things out. We like to kind of analyze people, analyze situations, figure out riddles. Well, it was kind of obvious. We should be detectives. So the rest is history.
Wow. So, it's very exciting. So, Sam, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to talk to your friend Trillo for a little while, and perhaps
Sure.
we could introduce the man behind the puppet, Jonathan Geffner.
Wait a second. Hold on, Avi. There's somebody behind you. What the heck's going on here?
No, not literally.
Oh, figure of speech.
Yeah, figure of speech.
Oh, I know what he's talking about. You're referring to that guy, Jonathan Geffner, right?
Yes.
Okay, I got to warn you about him. Well, he's a fan. He's a delusional fan.
He's our fan.
And he has delusions that he created us. He created our characters. He writes our scripts. He's what you call a mashuganer.
Right.
A nut job in English.
A nut job, okay. But anyway, Avi would like to meet him. So, I'll escort you to another room. Well, we'll both leave, and we'll ask Jonathan, who's hanging out here, if he'll come back in a moment. Okay?
Great. I would love to meet Jonathan because I've heard good things about him in spite of him being a Michiganer. So thank you.
Okay. See you soon.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure they'll be back in a moment. And we will get to meet Jonathan Geffner, who apparently is the man behind the men, behind the puppets. Hello.
Hello, Avi.
Hi.
Nice
Are you
to meet you
Jonathan?
Yes, in the my more usual persona. Although these days it seems like sometimes I'm more Trillo than Jonathan, but it's nice to in any format to meet you.
Well, Jonathan, I'm really, really pleased to meet you, and I'm quite honored because, as I said, I've been a silent fan of you and your Trillo and Suede series for a couple of seasons, and I've been watching, and I've been so impressed with how you've been able to take your history, your version of Yiddishkeit, your version of the Jewish identity, and put it into this very well produced and well done web series. But if you don't mind telling our audience a little bit about, where did you come from? Where does all this Yiddishkeit come from? Tell me your history. Where were you born? Where does the Yiddish come from? Because our audience and your audience may not even know how fluent you really are in Yiddish. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, as I think either Trillo or Suede alluded to it as a lange Maisa, a long story, but we'll give the short version here. That I grew up knowing a little bit of Yiddish from my parents. Both of my parents spoke Yiddish fairly well. They went to Arbeiterin Shulas and Sholem Aleichem Shulas. These are their Yiddish secular schools when they were kids, and their parents spoke Yiddish. So my grandparents came here to America, immigrated to America when they were teenagers. They came from Poland and Ukraine, mostly from southern Poland, Galicia usually referred to, and they settled in Brooklyn. That's where my parents grew up, in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. That was before it was cool to be in Williamsburg, before the pre-hipster days in Williamsburg, way before that. So as I said, my parents taught me a little Yiddish, and they sent me also to a Sholem Aleichem Shula. That was the Arbeiterin Workman's Circle, or the better known of the secular Yiddish schools. But that happened to be called Sholem Aleichem, the little branch or something. And I learned a little bit.
But let me break in because you and I share something already. I also went to the Sholem Aleichem Volksschule system.
Oh.
And it was actually not exactly part of the Workman's Circle because there were Workman's Circle schools, there were the Parrot schools, and then there was the Sholem Aleichem Volksschule Institute. I went to number 21 in the Bronx. Where did you go? What number? Do you remember?
I don't remember what number. They didn't usually refer to a number, but it was Great Neck, Long Island. I grew up in Little Neck, one town over on the Queens side. So I was a New York City dweller officially, but near the border. But Great Neck is the town that the shula, the little school, was.
And did you actually go through the system? Did you go to the middle shul, the middle?
No, I didn't go through. I just to the elementary school division. So I went there for a few years. I had that little graduation in lieu of a bar mitzvah. So, at about 13, I guess, is when I stopped going. But it whet my appetite. I learned some Yiddish there, but mainly it just got me more interested in it. So that a few years later, when I was just entering high school, I was I became a verbrannter Yiddishist, a fanatical Yiddishist. I really had this very strong desire to learn Yiddish for real, unlike the usual situation, which I'm sure you're familiar with. There are lots of Jews who have some kind of, they take some delight in Yiddish words or phrases here and there, and they like, throwing them around, whether correct or incorrectly. But that's it. They don't really want to learn the language for real. But I decided way back then that I want to really know this language properly. So I went about studying it on my own at first, getting some textbooks. But then when I was in my last year of high school, I went to the YIVO program associated with Columbia University. There's a summer intensive Yiddish course. And I took that, and that got me all the more dedicated to really wanting to become as much of a Yiddish scholar as I could. I wound up getting a degree in Yiddish language and literature from Queens College, part of CUNY, City University of New York, for those outside of New York. So that was my major. And I minored in music because I was tossing around several interests when I was young, when I was a kid and a teenager, and through my life, actually. I've had a number of different interests. Music was one serious interest.
Let me break in one more time, because apparently you and I have a lot more in common than even I realized. So the YIVO organization is one of the most important Jewish Yiddish organizations in the world today. Just for the viewers who may not know, it is the largest Eastern European archive in the world. And it just so happens that I grew up in the YIVO building because my father in the 1980s was one of the chairmen of the YIVO organization. So we share our love of YIVO.
Nice.
We also share Queens College. Queens College used to have a lot of performances in Yiddish, and I performed at Queens College several times over the years. So I am very impressed with your yichus, with where you come from. So please continue the story. What happened after Queens College?
How nice. Well, I shortly after Queens College, I decided I want to make a go of it in music. I became more serious about that again, about piano. I'm a pianist. And so I went to Manhattan School of Music. I got a master's degree in piano. And after that, I kind of went back to teaching Yiddish as my main profession. I never had a 9-to-5 job in my life. I always pieced together various part-time jobs. And so during that period, I was teaching. It was my turn to teach, to pass it forward. So I was the director of an Arbitering, a workman's circle Yiddish school in Bergenfield, New Jersey. And then I taught in a couple of other ones, and I started teaching adult ed courses in Yiddish. But I simultaneously was playing the piano, playing concerts when I could. I became an accompanist. I was playing for a lot of singers and instrumentalists, and an occasional solo concert, piano lessons. And then I also got involved shortly after that in improv theater. I became an improv actor. So all this helped very much as a background for eventually becoming a ventriloquist, which was another couple of years past that. It was when I had just dropped out of NYU for a PhD in piano. I had decided to go and get a doctorate in piano, but quickly regretted it, decided that it's too research-based for me, and I don't want to really do that. So I had dropped out, and I was kind of I was depressed, in a Morascheure, we would say, which is a depression, a melancholy or depression. And
Jonathan, let me break in one more time before we get to your depression. Not that I'd love to hear more about your depression, believe me, because apparently that depression inspired some really great creativity eventually. But before we get to the depression, so once again, we have a few more things we share. So my daughter graduated Manhattan School of Music as a classical French horn player. And, of course, the Workman's Circle. You mentioned the work you did at the Workman's Circle. So, again, for those of our viewers who don't know, the Workman's Circle, just like the YIVO, is one of the most important and oldest Jewish Yiddish organizations in the world, and certainly in New York City. The Workman's Circle, which is now called the Workers' Circle, was a left-leaning organization that was dedicated to really supporting the working people, not only the Jewish working people, but also the non-Jewish working people. And it is still in New York today. And you can get health insurance, you can get support coverage. If you are any kind of worker, you can go to the Workers' Circle and not only learn Yiddish, because they teach a lot of Yiddish and they still have a lot of Yiddish-oriented projects that they do and programming that they do, but also for non-Jews who really need help in the field of just support systems for working people. So please, I would love for you to go back and tell us a little bit more about your depression.
Okay. Well, I'll try to get past the depression quickly. What happened was that I really was at a point in my life that I didn't know what I wanted to do and what was practical to do. How to make a living. I was eking out a living from these various pursuits, but I had just dropped out of that doctoral program, so that wasn't going to be a direction for me. Yiddish, of course I still love Yiddish, but I was just wanted to go on in life only doing that, only teaching it. I wanted to do more. Improv comedy I had gotten involved with a few years prior, but again, it was very hard to make a career, to make money from it. I would perform. Anyway, it was one of those days I was wandering around New York City, Manhattan, Central Park South. Right there, I saw a ventriloquist live performing, and I had never seen a live ventriloquist performance before. And that was an epiphany for me, a pivotal point in my life. I just was very inspired. I saw this and I felt like, this is it. This is what I want to do. Ventriloquism, that is so exciting. The idea of a puppet. I used puppets as a teaching aid sometimes. I like puppets, but not really a professional puppeteer. And I was involved in comedy, and I was a teacher, and I was a musician, so I performed in different ways. But the idea of bringing a puppet to life, making a puppet appear to and sound like it's alive and real, while you see the performer there, not hiding as most puppeteers need to do, but just out there and communicating, and also blurring the line between reality and illusion, which is something I love to do. I'm sort of fascinated by anyway, what's real, what's not real. I have fantasies, imagination about questioning what's the meaning of life as an obsession. All this stuff can be played out as a ventriloquist, bringing characters to life, and also simultaneously do self-therapy, because it's very therapeutic to have puppets who can express things that are in your own subconscious, different parts of your character that's suppressed, and all that came to be.
Let's maybe go back to our PowerPoint for a moment, because I'd like people to see your intro, your sizzle for the second season of your wonderful series Trillo and Suede.
was a gloomy morning in Brooklyn, New York. I was already feeling cynical and alienated because I'm expected to be that way in this genre.
I'm Fiona Fatale.
Cheating on a dame like you? Hard to believe, dollface.
What was your grandfather's name?
Peter Piper.
And why did you say cloaked in mystery?
Whose name began with an A?
You're the psychic, you tell me.
I decided to become Jewish so no one will know that I'm black.
How could I keep my mother out of it?
Stop talking into the microphone.
Oh my god, just finish the scene. We'll fix everything in scene 2.
Is that a mezuzah in your pocket? Or are you just glad to see me?
Oh, no, that's a jar of Harry. In case I need a nosh.
I would love to know, number one, how did you decide when you decided you were going to become a ventriloquist, right? Yeah. So how did you decide who your puppets were going to be, what kind of characters you were going to create? And can you tell us a little bit of the evolution into this Trillo and Suede team, and the series and turning it into a web series in 2020?
Yeah. Well, my very first puppet character was Schmendrick. My father often called me a Schmendrick when I was a kid. So it was a term, I thought of it as, felt it was more of a term of endearment, although it can be an insult, but, it can also be done in an endearing way, like a rascal. It could be a sort of a jerk, but I think of it more as kind of
sometimes it's like a near-do-well.
Right, yeah.
A Schmendrick, someone who doesn't, he's not all together.
Yeah, not on the ball. It doesn't really succeed usually in his tasks or whatever. So that character was based on a combination of characters that the older Jewish men who I've known with Yiddish accents. And so I kind of made a conglomeration of them into this puppet character. So he was the first one that I created and started using in shows. I practicing intensively for just a couple of months, and I already started doing shows. I had the chutzpah to do shows because I picked up the techniques quite quickly of not moving my mouth when I talk and projecting my voice. Of course, I got better as time went by, but I was good enough after a couple of weeks of obsessive practice to start doing shows, which were mostly ad-libbed in those days too. That's where it came into play the improv comedy that I had been working at for a couple of years at that point, because I was very accustomed, I was comfortable to ad-libbing, to improving. But I soon saw that, I found out through trial and error that I cannot have the chutzpah to rely on improv for shows because it can only carry me so far. And there's no way that I could improvise a great show. It's just like too risky. So I started writing, and a lot of the material I wrote was originally for Jewish audiences because I was still teaching Yiddish school. I was the director of a Yiddish school for kids. So what I did is I wrote little skits for my puppet Schmendrick, and then subsequently more puppets I added to the act. One by one, but little skits that I could do at the community events, like we had a community Seder for Passover and for Hanukkah and for Purim we had things, and for just get-togethers and also just to teach classes. So I would do things with my puppet, partly ad-libbed, partly written out. And then I started advertising myself amongst the Jewish community for other Jewish schools and Jewish centers of all kinds that, hey, I do shows for Jewish audiences. Not long after, maybe a year or two after, though, I decided, well, why should I only limit myself to Jewish audiences? I want to try to make a living at this. And it seemed within my grasp that, I'm getting bookings and people like what I do. So maybe I could actually make this my main profession, which I was excited to do. So I started developing programs for non-Jewish audiences, for schools mainly, with educational themes or just fun shows, and marketing myself in the general community as well.
So can we meet Schmendrick?
Yes, I think he's right here. Just a moment.
Because I would love to meet some of these amazing characters that you have created. I love, the concept of bringing Jewish style culture, you know, Jewish style, like kosher, it's kosher style. You know, they used to say, we eat kosher. No, we eat kosher style. Shmendrik,
Yeah.
what a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, this is Avi.
Oh, I heard so much about you. I saw an X-Light, an Auszug.
Auszug means excerpt in Yiddish. An Auszug from what?
From the two Jewish thing you did.
Yo, Avi is famous for his Too Jewish show. Yes, we saw some excerpts on YouTube or someplace. Someplace we saw it, right?
Oh, it's such a mechaya.
A mechaya. It was a great pleasure.
So Shmendrik, thank you so much for the compliment that you've seen some of my work. I'm very impressed. I'm actually curious. So when did Shmendrik come into being? When were you brought to the world, Shmendrik?
Well, from the very start, Jonathan here, he said he created me. That's a funny concept, but that's what he thinks. Yeah.
Well, anyway,
that's my earliest memory.
The earliest memory is when we started working together. You don't remember anything from before that, right?
Yeah. So who knows? Maybe I was just a little baby. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. Well, what years were that?
Okay. Let's see. Can you remember?
Let's see. Back. Let's see. 1985. That's when I began all this.
Wow.
So,
yeah. You looked younger then.
Yes, I looked younger because I was younger then, a lot younger.
Yeah, that's when we started together. We did shows in the Yiddish school. You remember that?
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah, he took me to the classes, and I would talk to the kids. I would help to teach them. But sometimes we just had fun. Don't tell the parents.
It's a little late now anyway.
You just had fun with the kids, making up stuff.
I mean, I'm so amazed that we never actually crossed paths.
Yeah.
At least to the best of my memory, because I was in New York from 1981, 82 until I left after my Too Jewish show in 1995 in New York, which is where I started my Too Jewish show. So you were doing shows at the Jewish schools. Where else were you performing, Shmendrik, with Jonathan? Where did you let him come with you?
Well, after a little bit, I told him, listen, the Jewish stuff is natural to us. It's fun, but it's easy. But why should it be only the Jewish stuff? Why don't we do it for the non-Jews? So that's when we started doing the school shows. And then we also did a little bit for the adults, right?
Yeah, because I also dabbled in doing some comedy clubs, adult shows. Figured, well, why not try that as well? But I soon decided, we both decided that we don't like that venue as much.
Well, you like that to do for the kids and also for all ages, the families. I like that the best.
Yeah, me too. Because a good thing we were in agreement about that.
Yeah, we usually don't agree on a lot of stuff, but we agreed about that.
Okay, yeah. So,
is Shmendrik based on anyone in particular? How did Shmendrik become Shmendrik and not Schlemiel or Schlemazel?
Yeah, well, Jonathan, he kind of acted like my daddy, so he gave me the name. And, I'm so glad he gave me this name, Shmendrik.
Why are you glad?
Because you got to admit, Avi, it's the most beautiful name in the world, Shmendrik. It has such a ring to it. So, a klang. It sounds so nice. So, Shmendrik, yeah, I don't know why he gave me the name, but I'm so glad he chose it.
And I think that Shmendrik is a beautiful name. Don't get me wrong. So what other friends, Shmendrik, did you have that were part of Jonathan's world?
We used the friends that had joined us. We all lived together, you see. So we got Ezra as one of my friends.
Yeah, Ezra is another guy. He takes part in our shows for all kinds of audiences.
I would love to meet some of your friends, Shmendrik.
Oh,
would
yeah.
you introduce us?
Oh, sure, I could. I think Ezra was taking a nap.
Well, let's see if we can wake him up, or if he's up by now, okay? So we'll be back momentarily, okay?
Great. So thank you, Shmendrik. It was an honor to meet you. Ashenim Dank. Die bist epis speziell. You are very, very special, Shmendrik.
Ashenim Dank, a großer Kavod.
A big honor for us. Thank you. Okay, I'll be right back.
So until everybody comes back, for those of you, who may not know, Schmendrick, of course, is a beautiful Yiddish word, and it usually refers to someone who is, it's hard to describe really. A Schmendrick is not quite a schlemiel who has the soup spilled on him, not quite a schlemazel who's the one who actually spills the soup, but somewhere, around the schlemazel and the schlemiel is a schmendrick. And here, I guess, who is this? Look at this wonderful, wonderful person. Who are you? What's your name? Please introduce yourself.
Oh, it's Avi Hoffman. Yay! I was looking forward to this day. I'm Ezra. Yes. So this is my partner, Ezra. Yeah, we do shows together, Avi. Did you know that? Yeah, he just heard that from Schmendrick. Told him about that. Yeah, Jonathan and me, and sometimes Schmendrick also.
Wow. So Ezra, what is your background? How did you, where did you come from? And where did you get your name from? It's a beautiful name. He was a prophet, wasn't he?
Yes, sir. I heard that before. Yeah. So you want to tell him about the history of her name? Oh, I don't remember because you gave it to me, right? Yes, I did name Ezra when I first got him. But you know about your history before we met? Well, all I know is that I was carved out of oak, carved out of oak. Yeah. Do you remember where that was? Well, I think I was from the hills of Kentucky. Well, that's the backstory that Ezra has sort of taken on for himself, that he grew up in the hills was first came into being in the hills of Kentucky, right? Yes, sir. And so kind of hillbilly or country boy personality, wouldn't you say? Yeah, the Jewish hillbilly. Jewish hillbilly. Very strange, very odd. Okay. Yeah.
I love that.
Very little Kahilla Jewish community down in, what part of Kentucky was it? It was a very tiny little village. Nobody, it's not on the map. It's not on the map. It's not in Google. It's not in Google. No. And it's you can't find it anyplace unless somebody points you in the direction. Yeah. What was it called? It was called Kastrilivka, Kentucky. Kastrilivka, Kentucky. Wow. Yeah.
I love Kastrilivka, Kentucky. Kastrilivka, for those of you who may not know, was actually a town, a city, a village that was written by Shalom Aleichem. And he really, created this beautiful town of Kastrilivka, and I didn't know there was a Kastrilivka in Kentucky. I have heard that some of the Southern Jews use terms like yippee oy vey. Is that true?
Yeah,
I mean, is that a term that you used to use when you were back in Kentucky? In old Kentucky?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one, actually. But I don't remember too much because before I knew it, I became Jonathan's partner. So I don't. It's a vague memory of Kentucky.
I mean, do you know much about your Southern Jewish roots, so to speak?
Oh, I see what he did there. That's a ventriloquist joke. That's kind of a ventriloquist joke. That's right. Yeah. Well, not that much. Although I think I was from an oak forest that was on a beautiful hillside mountain. And isn't that where it was? Yeah, it was actually next to a Besoilum, a cemetery. That I like to think of it as a beautiful hillside mountain overlooking the shul, the synagogue. So
you have deep neshomis in your roots. Neshomis would be souls. If you were next to the Besoilum, next to the cemetery, I assume you probably have several wonderful souls within you as well, Ezra, right?
Yeah, that could account for my confusion of my identity sometimes.
Wow, beautiful. Who actually carved you? Do we know?
Yeah. What was his name? Brant Gilmer is the name of the man who carved Ezra, and most of my, actually all of my wooden figures. What are you talking about? Well, some of our friends are made out of cloth and foam, like Schmendrick is an example of a soft puppet made out of cloth and foam. And Ezra's a traditional wooden carved dummy. What do you call me? Ventriloquial figure is the official term.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
You know what? That actually brings up a very interesting question, Jonathan. So, how did you learn to be a ventriloquist? And I'd love to meet some more of your I'm sorry, how do you describe them?
Ventriloquial figures.
Ventriloquial figures, yes.
Yeah. Or you could just call them superior beings. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how I learned, it was through woodshedding mostly. In those days, that was pre-internet back then. So I went to ventriloquist performances. I looked in newspapers, trade magazines, and luckily I was in New York City. So there are lots of shows in comedy clubs, nightclubs in those days. I went every time I could see a ventriloquist, studied what they do, went backstage, asked for pointers, tips. I went to a ventriloquist convention that they had annually in Kentucky, oddly enough. Yeah, my hometown. So nostalgic, Avi. Yeah, okay. And we went there, and starting from the first year that I was studying ventriloquism, I went there for many years in a row and learned a lot at that ventriloquist convention and just practiced, watched myself on video, set up an old video camera and watched myself study, practice.
Wow. I think it's a really special talent. I don't know a lot of ventriloquists because I think it's a very difficult art to master. So if nothing else, I give you enormous, COVID. And I don't mean COVID. I mean COVID, like honor and respect.
It scared me for a minute there, Avi.
Yeah. I don't want to give you COVID, but hopefully Ezra and Jonathan are already vaccinated. But it really takes an enormous talent to be able to do what you guys do. And so I'm very appreciative and very respectful of your art. Can you tell us a little bit about some of your other friends, some of your other ventriloquial characters? Like who is Mrs. Levinsky, who apparently is also known as Aunt Sarah?
Yeah, Aunt Sarah. She's a sweet lady. Yeah, she is a sweet lady. And she's known as Mrs. Levinsky in the Trillo and Suede web series, but we know her, most people know her as Aunt Sarah. Everybody calls her Aunt Sarah. She's not just an aunt, she's really a grandma, great-grandma, but everyone calls her Aunt Sarah. So we'd like to meet her. I think
I'd love to meet her because I have a special love for the name Levinsky, which I'll be happy to share with you if you like. When you go get Aunt Sarah and bring her back, I'll tell everybody why I love Levinsky so much.
I think, she's in the kitchen. You want me to get her from the kitchen? Yeah, she's eating some gefilte fish. So I'll go get her. Okay, we'll be right back.
Great, thank you. For those of you who may not know, my relationship with the name Levinsky is from one of the greatest Jewish novels ever written, called The Rise of David Levinsky, which was written by Abraham Kahan, the famed editor of the newspaper, the Yiddish Forward, the Fovels. Look at that! Aunt Sarah, Mrs. Levinsky, what an honor to meet you.
Oh, sure. I see somebody's talking in the TV over here.
Yeah, it's not a TV. That's a computer screen.
What?
A computer screen, see?
Oh, yeah, there's a little guy in there.
Yeah, he's not really in there.
Well, I see. He's so tiny.
Yeah, but he's not really in there.
Shalom Aleichem, Aunt Sarah. Was machst du? Von wann kommst du? Where is your family from, Mrs. Levinsky?
He talks.
Yes, he talks. He's not really here. This is someplace else. We're seeing him on the computer.
Oh, so your son, you're not in the house?
He's not in the house. No, he's someplace else. So where do you come from?
Well, right now I stay in a suitcase mostly.
Yeah, but right now mostly in the suitcase. You like to rest there. But before that, do you remember when you were a young girl?
Yeah, I come from the old country.
The old country. Where's the old country?
It's where I used to be.
Yeah, but where more specifically?
It was in Galicia.
In Galicia. Do you remember the town, the shtetl?
Schön vergessen.
Sean Ferguson, she forgot the name of it.
I see. Sean Ferguson. I knew him well. So, Mrs. Levinsky, Aunt Sarah, if I may call you Aunt Sarah.
Oh, yeah, everybody calls me Aunt Sarah.
Oh,
Tante
no.
Sarah.
Tante Sora or Muma Sora, two ways of saying aunt in Yiddish. So either way or any way.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Mrs. Levinsky also.
Yes, Sarah Levinsky. So any of those.
Oh, wonderful. So you're a Galiziana. I'm also a Galiziana. My grandparents came from Lodz in Poland. Was that anywhere near where your family came from?
Yeah, that sounds familiar. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but it sounds. I think we went there sometimes on Sundays to lunch.
You went there?
Yeah, and we ate lunch in Lodz.
Well, I have so much respect for those of you who came from the old country and helped to build America. So, again, the rise of David Levinsky. Was David maybe one of your relatives?
Yeah, there was a Dovidel. We called him Dovidel.
Right.
Right. Dovidel is the nickname, right?
Well, Dovidel was the lead character in one of the greatest novels ever written, The Rise of David Levinsky. You must be related because you have that kind of incredible character. I could see it in your face and in your eyes. I mean, such a magnificent Jewish character.
This guy's very smart.
Very smart. Yes, he is.
Well, I agree. Yeah, Dovidel. I remember Dovidel.
Yeah, you remember him, right?
And I think it's very important that we give a lot of honor, a lot of respect to those of you who came from the old country to build America and really create a foundation for American culture through your Yiddishkeit.
Right. How do you think you helped in that regard?
Well, I have a lot of Eineklich.
Grandchildren.
Eineklich.
Great grandchildren, right?
Yeah, and also I have a good recipe for gefilte fish.
Okay.
Yeah, I share that with all the generations.
What other foods do you love to cook,
I like
Sarah?
Knedlich.
Do you make lokshen mit yoach?
A frage, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, so Tam Gan Eden.
Tam Gan Eden. It is
Tam Gan Eden. The taste of paradise.
Oh, yeah, and you gotta eat my cheese blintzes.
Cheese blintzes.
Oh, I'm hungry.
So smetana.
Sour cream, right?
Sour cream, absolutely. Do you make latkes, Aunt Sarah?
A frage.
Of course, yes, of course.
You make only potato latkes or any other kind of latkes?
Well, also, sometimes I use
My mother makes cauliflower latkes.
Cauliflower. I never tried that before.
No?
Sometimes I put a lot of schmaltz.
A lot of schmaltz, but that's in your recipe for whatever kind. But it's usually potato latkes.
Right.
Yeah, usually, but sometimes kasha. I know it's unusual that I like kasha kanishis and kasha latkes.
Do you ever make kasha varnishkes?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Avi, you're getting me very hungry.
Me too. I'm starving right now. But I'd love to meet any of your other friends who may have joined us. It's been an honor and a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Levinsky, a.k.a. Aunt Sarah.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful to see you on the TV sometimes, on the computer in the series. So that's really wonderful. What other friends have you brought with you that you can introduce us to? Is Chippy there?
Yeah, Chippy. I gotta tell you something, Avi. Chippy, he's very shy. Very shy. Yeah, but maybe you can pick him up.
Yeah, I'll try to pick him up. Let's see if Chippy's willing to meet you, okay?
Great. I'd love to meet Chippy if that would be possible.
Yeah. Okay, nice to see you.
And I don't know if Uncle Flunky is related to Aunt Sarah, but I'd love to meet Uncle Flunky also.
Yeah, Uncle Flunkle, I think he's related to Ezra.
Yeah, he's actually related to Ezra.
Okay.
Yeah, interesting, I think, but we'll bring back Chippy.
Okay, great.
I still don't understand how Avi got inside the TV.
Well, I'll explain later. Okay.
Well, while we're waiting for Chippy to join us, once again, Mrs. Levinsky, aka Aunt Sarah, has a lot of yichus, which we spoke about earlier. Yichus is a Yiddish word for a respectable roots. You come from yichus, you come from grois yichus, from great, roots, from a family with great respect and honor, very honorable. Oh, look at this. Oh my goodness. Look, is that Chippy?
Yes, let's just say hello, Chippy.
Hello.
Hello,
Chippy. Do you know Avi?
I don't know.
You never saw his shows before?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, what would you like to tell Avi right now about yourself?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, he is a little shy.
Well, can you tell us your roots, your family background, Chippy? Because apparently you come from a family of Malpis, which in Yiddish would mean our relatives, our cousins in the monkeys. So,
right. So, yeah, Chippy, first of all, are you Jewish?
I don't know.
Okay, but you speak a little Yiddish, right?
A klein bissela.
A klein bissela, a very little bit. Okay. So, and also, I taught you a little expression. Remember I was teaching you happy holiday in Hebrew? Remember that?
I forgot.
I'll remind you. Say Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
Not quite. Say Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
Chippy, almost. Try really hard to say Chag Sameach.
He spit on me. Well, you did.
Okay, we'll practice for another time. But at least he tried.
I am absolutely in love with Chippy. Does Chippy know how to say Chag Sameach in Yiddish?
I think I remember that.
You think you remember? Go ahead, try.
Good Yantif.
Perfect. Chippy, that was not only perfect Yiddish, it was a perfect expression of a good holiday in the Yiddish language and the Hebrew language. Wow. I am so impressed with your knowledge of these Jewish languages. And did you say you were Jewish or not Jewish, or you didn't really know?
I don't know.
He's not sure. Well, we're not sure either, but he's an honorary Jewish monkey in any case.
I'd love to know a little bit more about Chippy and how you came to get together with Jonathan. Chippy, can you tell us how you met Jonathan?
Well, I don't remember because I was just a very baby monkey.
A very baby monkey. But actually, I found Chippy in a magic store. And I was looking for another kind of ventriloquial figure or dummy or puppet. You could say ventriloquist puppet. And I happened to see Ezra. In fact, it was the first time that I saw Ezra, and I happened to see Chippy while I was looking for the right Ezra, someone to fit that character that I had in my mind. And I didn't know what I would do with Chippy. Whether I just thought Chippy was so endearing, so cute, so chenevdik, as we say in Yiddish. So I just had to have Chippy. So I bought him and gave him the name of Chippy, and I was just I picked him up and sort of experimented what voice I would give him and what character, and it just seemed like this was naturally what Chippy would become, just looking at him and what I thought his character should be.
And that's what I am. And you know something? Jonathan guessed right, because it feels like me when he makes me talk.
It feels like you.
Yeah, it feels natural.
Yeah.
I feel like a natural monkey.
You make me feel like a natural monkey too.
Yeah. I think they wrote a song about that.
Or a version of it.
Very good. Very good. Chippy, it's such a pleasure and an honor to meet you as well. What an amazing family you have with Jonathan and all of his friends and ventriloquial figures. I know there's two more figures, one of which we've already met, but one of which I'd still love to meet, which is Uncle Flunkle. I thought it was Flunky before, but apparently it's Flunkle.
No, some people call him that, so you're not alone.
He's not alone. Okay.
Well, would it be possible to meet? Would it be possible to meet Uncle Flunkle?
What do you think?
I don't know.
Well, we'll ask. I think he's over here. So I'll see if I can get him, okay?
Great. Once again, one of the beauties of Yiddish language is you can take any word and rhyme it. Uncle Flunkle, Flunkle Schmunkle. If you add a SH to almost any word, it becomes kind of Yiddish humor. All right. So Flunkle Schmunkle, Chippy Schmippy, Sarah Schmara. Oh, and look at this, Uncle Flunkle. Hello, Uncle.
Oh, right here. I said, that's Avi Hoffman, gosh darn it.
Yes, it is.
I'm a big fan of yours. I saw that Too Jewish show you did.
Well,
Tell us something else. I love stuff that's too Jewish.
Some people a lot of people thought I was too Jewish. So I wrote a show about it and I called it Too Jewish.
Yeah, you got the same trouble, don't you?
Yeah, we have sometimes the same problem in our web series, grappling with the idea of are we too Jewish or not? That's another topic.
Yeah, but Avi did a whole show about that.
Yeah, Avi did a whole show. We explored the question. We did a little playlist. We called our playlist on our YouTube channel Too Jewish because we were wondering about that. But not to be compared with the whole extravaganza that Avi goes into in depth.
But Uncle Flunkle, I'd love to find out more about you. Are you related to Ezra? And are you also from Kentucky, from Kaslilivka, Kentucky?
Yeah, well, I'm Ezra's uncle. So it's funny. We decided to just keep that nomenclature, just keep that title of Uncle Flunkle. But I started off actually being Ezra's uncle. Yeah, I had a little farm down there. And I also I helped out at the shul. We had this little Jewish congregation down there. So I like to help out. And I like to sing on all the Jewish holidays and just hang out there. And well, Ezra helped me on the farm, and when he moved up north, I decided, what the heck, I'm going to join him. And I sent him a little postcard. I said, Ezra, well, what are you doing there in New York City? That's a far cry from Kastrolivka, Kentucky. And he said, I'm doing shows with this guy, Jonathan. You ought to try it. I came up north, and the rest is history.
Wow. Absolutely amazing. I've heard that the Jews who came from the South, which, by the way, the first Jews in North America actually landed in the southern part of the United States and not in New York, as most people think. They actually were Sephardic Jews who came through Cuba and ended up in the South. Are you a Southern Jew, and are you Sephardic? Do you have any Sephardic roots in you, Uncle Flunkle?
Yeah, it's kind of a mystery to me. I don't know. My family didn't want to talk about their history so much, so I'm kind of in the dark about that. I think what I got to do is Ancestry.com. I got to do a DNA analysis of my inner stuffing and find out where the heck I come from. But I heard about those guys. I don't think Sephardic. But who knows? It could be a combination of things.
Right. That's wonderful. And is it true that the Jews in the South actually say, Shalom, y'all? Is that true, or is that just a myth?
No, it's true. I certainly say it. I like to always say it. I got used to doing that. And I did it. It doesn't matter Jewish or non-Jewish. I said it to everybody because it felt right.
Right. Well, shalom is peace. And that's how we say hello and goodbye. Shalom, shalom aleichem, shalom aleichem. It's been a pleasure to meet you, Uncle Flunkle.
Same here, Avi.
But I would like to get back before we finish our interview with Jonathan. I'd like to go back to meeting Sam Swade and bringing him back, if that would be okay. So
yeah, absolutely. Hey, how about Danny? I think Danny's there.
I don't know if I mentioned Danny to you.
No,
Danny's another one of my partners.
Danny.
Want to quickly say hello to Danny?
Absolutely. We can go past our hour. It's fine.
Yeah,
no problem. We'll definitely go into overtime for you.
I think Danny will be happy to meet you. So, yeah, I think we're going to get Danny now. It's great. Fun. So,
great. Well,
nice
thank you, Uncle Flunkel. It's been a pleasure and a machaya to meet you.
Well, I couldn't agree more than that.
So for those of you out there who may not know, a machaya is a pleasure, a real joy. Look at this. We now have Danny here with us. Danny, what a pleasure to meet you.
Well, it's so nice to meet you also, Avi. I heard a lot of that. Saw him on Aleichem Shalom. I said, I don't know how to say that. I can talk. You know something, Avi? A lot of people, they look at me, they think you don't look Jewish, but I learned a lot of Yiddish because I grew up in a Jewish community with old Jews talking Yiddish, and in your neighborhood, I think, in
the Bronx.
Yeah, in the Bronx. Yeah, that's where it's from. So,
is that where you're from, Danny? From the Bronx?
Yeah, originally, yeah.
Oh wow! And so you're Moishe Parkway, Parkway, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Next to the Grand Concourse.
Yeah, Otazoi. That's how you say it, right? Otazoi, just like that, right?
Yeah, so, you're not Jewish, Danny? I mean, is that what I heard?
No, just honorary. But you know, but I could be. You know, I know some black Jews. Yeah, there's some black Jews too. I could be.
There are a lot of Jews of color, and we are actually learning a lot about Jews of color who were born Jewish, a lot of Jews in Ethiopia, and a lot of Jews in America that are born in black communities and color communities. And I know many of them, and I'm very honored to know them. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Danny. Where did you meet Jonathan, and how did you learn so much Yiddish and so much about Jewish culture?
Well, Jonathan, he wanted to have a character that is kind of unique, special qualities. And he had everything in mind. And he told that, what's the name of that carver? Brant Gilmer, we mentioned before. He also carved Danny according to my specifications. So created him, much the way parents create children, but this is a little different. You can actually plan out what kind of appearance you want the character to have. So I had this image, this idea for Danny, and Brant did a terrific job of creating just the kind of character I had in mind. Yeah, so I was happy to join the clan here because now that's why I say I'm honorary Jewish too, because I got a lot of Jewish characters. Not all of them, but most of them are my partners here are Jewish in one way or the other. Yeah, but I'm honorary, and this way I learned about the culture growing up in the Bronx. That was intermediate between him being carved and a brief stint actually in the Bronx, where he had some other experiences, and that's where you also learned Yiddish. You picked it up, right? Yeah. Then Jonathan later taught me some Yiddish that I already knew some from growing up there in the Bronx.
I am honored to meet another Bronxite because the Bronx, not everybody knows that the Bronx is actually named after a family. They were the Bronx family. They were farmers, and they owned most of the Bronx as we know it today. And that's how the Bronx got its name. And it's not like all the other boroughs, Brooklyn and Staten Island and Manhattan and Queens. It's the Bronx. And
it's kind of unique. Special, unique.
Right, a real Gedilla, right?
Yeah, Groise Gedilla.
Groise Gedilla.
Yeah, I disagree with that poet, W.H. Auden. I think it was W.H. Auden. Yeah, I think W.H. Auden. He was a poet. He wrote the shortest poem about the Bronx. You know that one, Avi? You ever hear that? W.H. Auden's poem? It's 4 words, in fact. 4 words? What's the poem? It's like goes like this: the Bronx, no thanks. I disagree. Yeah, he disagrees. Yeah, I like the Bronx.
Danny, what would you like to tell our audience about the relationship between blacks and Jews, and how you feel about the Jewish people, and how the Jewish people love, black people? What can you share with us?
There's certainly historically a lot of things in common, because you look at first of all, traditions of the history of the oppression. Both of them know about that.
Yeah, history of oppression. Both groups experienced that.
Yeah, but also a lot of the creative stuff. Because you look at popular music in the United States and jazz music. Well, it's blacks and Jews who are on the forefront of that stuff. The standards, all those jazz standards, those great tunes from the 1920s and 30s and 40s. It was a lot of the musicians, the performers, the right singers, instrumentalists. Yeah, there's in jazz world, majority black, but you got quite a few Jews also. But most of the songwriters were Jewish. So that combination, that's a dynamite combination.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think it's even deeper than that, because I think the blacks and the Jews work together for, going back to the turn of the century. Paul Robeson, do you know who Paul Robeson was, Danny?
Oh, sure. Yeah. He talked Yiddish too.
He did. Paul Robeson. For those of our viewers who may not know, Paul Robeson was one of the most famous black opera singers and performers, and he became a big star in America, but he was also a social activist, and he was not Jewish, and he was black. Paul Leroy Robeson. And Paul Robeson ended up learning a lot of Yiddish and sang a lot of Yiddish songs, even at his concert, his major sold-out concert at Carnegie Hall. And so it is an honor to have you with us today in our Shmoozing with Avi program. So thank you so much for joining us.
Well, my pleasure too. I like that commonality.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And so I'm really honored to have you with us on the show, Danny. Thank you so much for joining us.
My
thank
pleasure,
you, Jonathan.
sincerely.
And thank you, Jonathan, for creating such a wonderful, figure, ventriloquial figure for us to enjoy. Thank you. So anyway, I would love to finish our program with Suede. If you could ask Sam to join us again.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can do that for you, Avi, because he's right over there. I'm going to ask him to join you again.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you, Danny. I hope we meet again soon. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, what an amazing schmooze we've had with all these wonderful ventriloquial figures and Jonathan, who has helped bring them to us. So I'm really, really grateful to Jonathan and Schmendrick and Ezra and Aunt Sarah, Chippy, Uncle Flunkle, and Danny. And here's Sam again. Sam, boy, what a journey we have taken this evening with your friend Jonathan, who I know you know him as Trillo. And so I would like to once again bring back the great, great team of Trillo and Suede to bring us to the end of our program. How's it going, Suede? Did you have a good time tonight?
Absolutely. This has been quite unusual. We've been on a lot of podcasts, interviews, but this is really kind of unique.
Yeah, it is a unique podcast.
Really close to our hearts. I think I can talk for Trillo also.
You certainly can.
Well, goodness knows you talk for me. I'm going to talk for you now.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, because it's been a special thing to reminisce about the Jewish background that helped create the characters that we are, our experiences, and also a chance to meet all of our other partners and friends here, all in one show. It's really cool.
Suede, tell us a little bit more if you can, for just a couple of minutes, and we really kind of have to bring this to a close, about the web series. How did you create the web series, and how did you feel about having this amazingly wonderful series, award-winning series on the web? Tell us a little bit more about how you created it together and how you achieved such wonderful recognition.
Well, we didn't want to keep it a secret from the world about the amazing cases that we've been on and experiences as detectives right here in New York City.
In Brooklyn, New York, in fact.
Yeah, that's where our office is. So we decided back in, the 1990s, we got this idea to create a series based on our experiences because we love film noir.
Film noir is something that we both really love. That's the 1940s and 50s genre of detective stories, films and mysteries, dark, gloomy, atmospheric, urban, mostly either in LA or in New York, mostly centered. It could be other places also. But that whole genre of filmmaking was very alluring to us and exciting. So we love that. And we wanted to create a series that would give that spirit and flavor to showing people some of the cases that we've been on.
Yeah, and we have that, that's kind of an alternate universe that we live in.
Yeah, film noir. Our world seems to be film noir, so it seemed like natural to just to show it in that way, in a film noir atmosphere to the world. So the first thing we did was a script for a feature film.
The Hong Kong Canary was the name of it, and then we tried to get that produced as a feature film, but no dice. We came close a few times.
Yeah, we tried to find ways to get that produced. We were not able to do that. Came close a few times too, near misses.
Probably because people thought it might be a little too Jewish.
What do you think?
Well, that's a whole discussion on itself. But I don't know, maybe, but I don't think so. I think they didn't get the concept of this ventriloquist thing mixed with the film noir thing. I don't know about the Jewish stuff.
Yeah, but I don't know. Well, could be. Well, we'll never know for sure. But it's something we pursued over the years. Since then, we wrote several other feature films taking place at different places because opportunities seem to arise with producers or investors in other places. We wrote one that takes place in India, two that take place in England, another one in New York, one in China, in fact.
Wow.
So and we have these feature franchises.
And this is all part of the Trillo and Suede franchise?
Yeah, and it's all ready to go. We got to find a way to produce it.
Yeah, we have a franchise ready to go, but we still have not found producers for them. But we did produce a short film called Oxford Park in 2005 in England, and that's available. You can see it on our channel, Oxford Park. And that was a fun thing. At least we were able to show the world a glimpse of our world in this short film. But we still wanted to do something bigger. And then when it didn't seem like anything is really going to come through for us, we decided back in 2019 that we're just going to go and self-fund 2 seasons of a web series because they would cost us less than a feature film, but still we're going to dig into our pockets and do it ourselves. We believed enough in the concept.
Well,
Right.
yeah, because we figure once it's out there, then maybe it's going to lead to ways to produce the other stuff.
So right now, that's what we're still working on. We got some possibilities on the back burner, or hopefully bring to the front burner now, of ways to produce a season 3 because we can't keep self-funding. We did the first 2 seasons. Or one of these feature films. So we're working on that now, exploring possibilities.
Once you created the web series, which obviously is a lot easier to produce than a feature film, you received an enormous amount of acclaim. You got 39 awards?
Yeah, that's very encouraging because it's the discouraging part, frankly, is that we haven't yet found a way to keep going with it.
Yeah, that's on hold now, season 3, because we don't have a way to fund it. We tried crowdfunding, but we were not able to achieve the goal. So we're probably going to do another very short film soon with what we were able to.
I would love to see Trillo and Suede continue not only as a web series, but also as what I'm now hearing about are feature films all over the world.
We certainly hope so, and then we got it all ready to go. So halavai, as they say, not to be confused with
Halavai,
halavai.
halavai.
Yeah, halavai is delicious, but halavai is different.
Yeah. So, here I just want all of our viewers to see Trillo and Suede, the web series. You can visit Geffner.com, which is Jonathan Geffner, the brains, the man behind the puppets, the ventriloquial figures, Geffner.com. And you can see the Trillo and Suede series on YouTube. I'm guessing you can go to YouTube and just, put in Trillo and Suede, and you'll come up with these amazing private investigators, the Yiddishkeit, very Yiddish oriented, Jewish oriented series, Trillo and Suede, which I am so impressed by. Well, first of all, Sam Suede, thank you so much for joining us here on Shmoozing with Avi. It's been an honor, a real machaya. It's been a pleasure and a joy, a machaya to meet you. I'm kvelling.
Thank you, Avi.
Thank you, Avi.
Thank you, Trillo. And thank you very much, Jonathan, for joining me and for bringing a bissel simche, a real, a happy occasion to our schmoozing series. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Trillo and Suede. Thank you, Jonathan. Ashenim und herzlichen Dank.